Welcome to another episode of Inspired Voices. My name is Riera, and this is Zaklina Claudia.
Hello. For those of you who don't know who I am a wealth and mindset coach. I help millennials break free from their negative thought patterns and behavior patterns and get them from surviving to thriving.
That's right. And obviously you've been on the episode. I've been on the show a few times, and so I'll link all of our episodes down below if anyone wants to check it out, which I will also leave your contacts and stuff like that below as well. This episode is called Why Millennials Are Struggling. I think we are kind of like the in-between generation, I guess you could say.
Yes.
Between the boomers and the Gen Zs and stuff like that. So I think we want to kind of start off with like acknowledging the struggle.
Yeah, we do have it hard. I agree. Because if you think about it, our wages do not match up with how inflation is growing.
Right.
It definitely is a struggle with, and also due to the fact that boomers did not have it as hard during our age.
Yeah, that's true. And like how we were raised by boomers.
Yeah.
But like the world is not about boomers anymore. It's about the new world of technology and stuff like that.
Exactly. And we're trying to, all the millennials, all of us are trying to start our lives, whether it's family or we're finally in the career or everything like that. The most important peak of our lives. And this is where, eggs are $8. Childcare is an extra, $1,200 a month. And all these other things that are happening.
Right. Yeah. We are at our peak age, right?
Yeah.
It's like all of us want to have a house. We want to have a family. Well, some of us and stuff like that. But the important, at least houses, is what we're kind of aiming for.
Right, and that's one of the struggles that millennials are having, because how do they find a home that maybe their parents found for $100,000 that's so beautiful, but for $100,000 today we would get maybe a dungeon. Let's be honest.
yeah, exactly. I remember one of my friends posting a story saying that this townhouse looking house is not even, it's like $1 million and stuff like that. And that's just, I found that ridiculous, because you don't even get a full benefits of what a house should be.
And people are trying to co-purchase homes or, maybe rent out their basement and have different creative solutions in order to be able to pay for their mortgage or for their rent.
Yeah, so let's talk about that. So you just mentioned a few ways that people can kind of hack the system of owning a house, right? So we have like Airbnb.
Yeah.
We have just straight rental.
Yep.
And what are some other ways? Roommates, right?
Roommates, yes, definitely.
It's almost like the struggle of owning a house. We have to find new strategies.
Right, and we shouldn't be, finding ways like this to survive. I mean, or even I know some people that are having their parents co-sign for a house because they just can't afford it today.
Yeah, that's true. But what are some statistics?
I love that. So actually, since 1960, the housing prices have raised 121%, which is a lot, for millennials to take on.
Right.
And only 6% of millennials can actually call themselves wealthy. That's very low, 6 out of 100. So clearly, if you want the facts, those are some statistics of how they're struggling to prove that they are struggling.
Yeah, and then you have we are really in the in-between generation, right? I feel like boomers were more successful than us, and then you have the Gen Zs who are now labeled as the richest generation.
Yeah.
Right? And so it's like, man, we can't catch a break.
Yeah, we're the in-between.
Yeah, so with all of that, comes a lot of stress, comes a lot of anxiety and stuff like that. How do you kind of manage that stress and anxiety while still trying to achieve wealth?
Well, I think a lot of it is that anxiety and that depression and that insomnia and everything that comes with financial stress is because of uncertainty. There's uncertainty if rent will be paid these days. There's uncertainty if, you know, you can go out to eat even and enjoy yourself because, you know, you have to go overtime if you do, or things like that. So I feel like taking aligned action and having different income streams are ways that can be a safety net for this issue.
Yeah, yeah. It sucks that we have to do that.
Yeah.
But, you know, that is and it kind of helps with taxes too, because like if you're just a W-2, more taxes are going to be taken out.
Yeah.
You know, and that sucks.
Yeah.
That happens. But to offset that, you could have side gigs.
Yes,
Stuff like that.
a lot of side gigs are popular these days. You know, what do we hear about? Instacart, Lyft, Uber, things like that. Or even people are selling furniture that they buy from thrift stores and, you know, making them look better, DIY.
Right. And then you have like people on social media just, you know, being affiliates or, you know, on TikTok, you know.
TikTok shop, you know, all these
stuff.
things these days.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of side gigs, a lot of opportunities to help with that, to help negate that financial stress and kind of offset it.
Because you work with people, obviously. That's what you do. So have you seen personally, what kind of anxiety, what kind of stress have you seen in other people?
Just mostly that they don't know if they can find a house to buy. You know, I've had probably 10 of my friends within the last couple years that have had trouble finding a house or just finding a place to live in general.
Yeah.
Because the house market or the job market is just not that good these days. There's a lot going on with the application tracking systems where if you don't have keywords in your resume that match the application tracking system, your resume is just swiped out.
Not even looked at.
Not even looked at.
Yeah.
So that's one thing people don't know. And, you know, people are coming back from the military and things like that. And they have such wonderful strengths on their resume, but it doesn't matter because those are not the keywords.
So what can they do?
So what can they do is they can leverage AI to see if there's a way that they can put in the correct keywords or what could help for that to match your resume more, their resume more.
Yeah. But is there a specific program that people could use to kind of like put those keywords in? Like how do people know what keywords to put in? Do you know?
I would say if you look at bullet points on a job description and it says, for example, Excel's in Microsoft Word, then that is a key there.
Okay.
If there's something that says need experience in the medical field for 3+ years, then that would be something that needs to be shared on your resume.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's hard if you don't have any of those things, you know, so you have to kind of reword things and honestly, because, you know, a lot of people just exaggerate or lie on resumes, sure. But there is some, you know, you can always reword something that can at least match a little bit.
Yeah, can trigger something in there. So going back a little bit to the gig economy and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, you know, I'm sure you have some side gigs. I have side gigs and stuff like that. It seems like that's the thing to do, which does really help. But what are some downfalls of a side gig?
Yeah, side gig avenue. Yeah. So I would say you obviously don't get benefits, right? It's like you're risking, like if you Uber or something, you're risking the fact that your vehicle might just be, what's the word I'm looking for? Like the value of your vehicle will go down.
Yeah.
That's one thing. You know, if you get into an accident, like, are they gonna really do you have free medical or insurance, things like that? You know, so no benefits. That's where I'm getting at. No benefits, no PTO.
It's all on you.
It's all on you.
There's a waterfalls. I mean, not waterfalls. Roller coasters.
Roller coasters. You get what you get what you work for.
Yeah, I think roller coasters is the biggest one.
Yeah.
Because like people don't realize if you don't constantly like work at it, there's gonna be times where you're gonna have no work and then you're gonna have work. You're gonna have no work for a month, maybe even.
Right.
And then it picks back up. But even if you do work at it,
Yeah.
you know, there still could be that roller coaster.
Right, because there are so many side gigs that are now getting oversaturated. And so if a lot of people are, for example, Instacarting in the same spot, you know, you can't really find anything to make money there.
Yeah, that's true. Side gigging, I feel like, I don't know, because what I do is, I don't know, I don't feel like I consider it a side gig of what I do. It's more of like a passion that I can make money off of.
Yeah.
I don't know how.
If it's a passion, I would say it's a career. It's another part of your career.
Yeah. Do you feel like people should think about it in that way instead of let me just get a side gig?
I feel like if it's just something to make money quickly, it's not really a passion and what they want to grow.
Yeah.
So maybe it's not necessarily the best way.
Yeah.
But also if you say, hey, this is my career, in terms of you do want to start making the side gig, start making serious money with the side gig, then that will help you make it more serious. Like take more aligned steps to really push forward with it.
Yeah.
So
interesting.
that's a way you can put it.
That's true. I mean, you could get side gigs until your passion, you know, goes up a little bit more on whatever it is that you want to do.
Right? It could trigger a passion.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah. I feel like that's a short-term thing.
Yeah.
Side gigs are. Because like you said, like you don't have really the passion in it. And so how long could that really last? Obviously, like if you have kids or something like that, you know, it could last a little bit longer because you're not thinking about just yourself.
Yeah, it's not completely stable and consistent all the time.
Right. You can work as a contractor, freelancer, whatever it is you want to do. How can we utilize, because we are in the new technology now with AI and stuff like that, how can people utilize that with building wealth?
Yes, I feel like everyone is going digital. Well, not everyone, but a lot of people are going digital these days where, you know, they are selling products or services online and using AI to create some of these products and or services. And I feel like for some people it's hurting and for some people it's helping. So let's talk about that. I think that there are many ways that it does help, right? And that it does hurt. So the helping side, if you leverage AI, you can get work done faster, right?
Yeah.
So it saves time. It can save you money, for example, if you want to hire an assistant, but you have a free AI virtual assistant, for example.
Yeah.
You know, if you can find one, that's definitely a plus.
Yeah, I think one of my friends utilizes AI a lot as far as like saving time as an assistant, really.
Yeah.
And like he did like 6 months of work within just a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Just by using AI. So that's like he's ahead of the game now and stuff like that.
Right. And it's tough for millennials too because technology is always advancing, right? We used to say, hey, get off the phone, I want to use the internet. And now we literally are using robots to create our businesses. And so, you know, we are at the point where we have seen the both ends, like of not having any technology really to now we have so much technology we're not familiar with using it, so we don't want to use it maybe necessarily.
Right.
And so I feel like if you learn it, you can leverage it. If you don't really learn it, and I know AI is taking over certain jobs and things like that. That's
Sure.
one way that it's hurting. But yeah, if you don't learn it, you're gonna have to find, you know, other ways of income, like side gigs and things like that.
Yeah,
So
yeah, the more like manual labor
manual
jobs.
labor, yeah.
Yeah, but I feel
Yeah.
like that's a good point. Like, we can't just sit around and not learn the new technology. I feel like we have to put in the effort to learn how to use AI to our benefit, because it really does help.
Right. And I'm not saying, you know, AI is everything all the time. You know, there are things that AI can tell you that's not necessarily correct and
Sure, sure.
you know, things like that. But I feel like if we accept it and adjust with it, it'll be much easier versus thinking like, oh, is this how my grandpa felt when he couldn't use my phone?
Right,
You know?
right. Yeah.
So
We don't want to be there.
we don't want to be there. And so we just have to keep moving with the times.
Yeah, exactly. So what are some ways that it's hurting?
I feel like it's taking over a lot of jobs right now. And also with the application tracking system,
Oh, right, yeah.
where it searches for your keywords matching the job description on your resume and swipes it out. You know, that's one way that it's hurting
Yeah,
as
for
well.
sure. Yeah, the whole losing my job over AI or robots or something like that. It's tricky. I think if the government helps the people go along with the technology,
Yeah.
it wouldn't have been an issue
I agree.
that robots and AI take over certain jobs. But we're
I
still
agree.
in that transition period, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, we're still in that transition period. I feel like the AI is also, let's go back to, you know, how it's taking over jobs, you know, a lot of customer service and you know, the side gigs that people had are now being taken over. And
yeah.
I hear that come maybe 10 years from now, like even real estate agents will be taken over and or things like that. And that sounds crazy,
That does
doesn't
sound
it?
crazy.
You know, but
Yeah, I think
I guess we shall see.
yeah, we shall. I feel like okay, so one way to approach this, what do you think? Think about your job and what you do, and really think about it. Could AI eventually take over?
Right.
And like weigh the pros and cons on that, and then
Yeah.
if you feel like there's more, it's more of a chance that it will take over, then maybe you need to strategize. Go ahead and find a different route and do something else.
Yeah, and of course there are certain fields where even though AI might take over, it still feels better to have a human, right? So, for example, if you want a videographer or a therapist, you know, it feels more real to have a human help you with those things.
Yeah, yeah, it really does. Yeah.
And maybe it wouldn't be as good in certain ways if AI did it.
Right.
So.
I just saw Shark Tank, and the guy came on with a AI robot that could tattoo yourself. Like, it could tattoo you and stuff like that.
Really?
So you're taking the tattoo artist out. But at the same time,
Interesting.
yeah, and it's at the same time though, artists are putting in their artwork into the machine, and so if the person picks that,
Oh, okay.
they get a cut of the money and stuff like that. So
Okay.
not
Interesting.
completely cutting them out, but I could
Right.
definitely see down the road just robots tattooing.
I
which is
never
wild.
even thought of that.
Yeah.
I never even thought of that field being taken over by.
Yeah.
Huh. Yeah.
But
mean-
at the same time, you know, I do like that person-in-person
Yeah.
contact when it comes to the tattooing, because, you know, with me, my next tattoo, I want to get something that's very sentimental.
Same.
And, you know, I just found this like woman on Instagram who does tattoos, but like she does a whole session of like meditation and like where you're at and stuff like that in order for a tattoo to kind of form.
Oh, I
You know what I mean?
love
So
that.
like Rikiki and stuff like that. Is that how you say it? Rikiki? Rikiki.
Yeah.
But yeah, she does all these sessions with you prior
That's amazing.
in order to kind of find a tattoo for
and
you.
develop something meaningful. See,
Yeah.
a lot of people, they get tattoos and the other people might say, "Oh, they're just tattooing it." But there's always meaning to a tattoo, I feel like.
Yeah, that's true.
Unless, you have a crazy night or something.
Yes.
Possible.
Right. But even though we're still in the transition of in the beginnings of the new technology, the new world and stuff like that, I see a bright future,
I do too.
I hope so. Depends on the government, I think.
Yeah.
So with the struggles that are happening nowadays and stuff like that, how do we fix this?
I would say it's not an easy path to fixing it per se. I mean, we can control what we can control though, right? Which is how we spend our money, our relationship with money, our strategies, and using the tools that we need to help. So those are the 4 things that we can do to up-level ourselves and kind of grow with the inflation and stop feeling stuck.
Yeah.
So family A versus family B, one has a financial advisor or some kind of coach and the other doesn't, and they don't have any financial literacy. And so since we don't teach that in school, really, like we don't have a subject on money
Right.
or mindset. So how are people supposed to, we have to reach out and learn on our own and take the initiative in
That's
order
true.
to succeed with this. So any tips that can help with budgeting, saving, things like that, using your 9 to 5 as leverage to break free and do what you want to do, things like that.
Absolutely. I think another one is, keeping your eyes open.
Yes.
For new opportunities that are there. You might not see it, you might not know anything, but just asking yourself the question, is there something else that I could be doing or can do? I think it goes back down to the basics of what do you want?
Yeah.
Like, what's your dream?
What is your goal?
Yeah.
Because most people have a goal, but it's kind of in the back of their mind, right? I want a house with lots of land, or maybe 2 houses, one in Europe and one in Florida. I mean, whatever. And they don't really set a timeline for that goal or when to take the aligned steps and really be serious.
Yeah.
And tracking the progress of each goal.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and once you figure that out, then you can, keep it in the back of your mind as far as finding new opportunities and stuff like that. I feel like if it's in the front, then it can become like overwhelming.
It could be.
Yeah.
It's a journey. It's not a and your goals might change too.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So really just thinking about, like you said, what do you want? And how can you use tools today to get there?
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate you coming back on the show.
Absolutely, anytime.
Yeah. If you want to tell people where they can reach you?
Yeah, you can DM me on Instagram at Zaklina Claudia, and I can send you some free guides or give you more info on one-on-one coaching. And you can also access my store at stan.store/Wealthy Mindset Solutions.
Cool. Free guides, what's that about?
I have a free guide where it states 5 things people stuck in survival mode do. I have another free guide that is 5 things to do in the morning to start your day off with prosperity and peace and good energy. And I have a bunch more that I love giving out as freebies. You can't really find them at my store, but if you message me, I like to give them. So.
Cool. Awesome. Yeah, definitely reach out to her. If you have any comments or questions or different perspectives, we'd love to hear it down below as well. Thanks again.
Thank you. Always
right.
a pleasure.
Yeah. Until next time.
Until next time.
Yeah.